Hi, I'm Justin Riley. Today on Wisconsin Doctors, taking healthy steps into 2016. We'll give you some tips on how to take care of yourself after the holidays are over. We're at Bluff Medical Center and we're going to hear from 3 great panelists who each give their own take on how to accomplish this task. I'll be joined first by Shannon Moore, who is the registered dietitian nutritionist. She'll talk about how diet plays an important role in taking care of yourself. Penny Wachowiak, who is the diabetes educator. She'll talk about how to manage diabetes and how to recognize it. And Dr. Robert Buss, who is the medical director for the Bluff Sleep Center. He'll talk to us a little bit about how adequate sleep is important for self-care. It's all coming up right here on Wisconsin Doctors. Stay right here. And welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We're here on location at Bluff Medical Center here in Mauston. And we have a great topic today. It's taking care of yourself in the new year. So much of that is neglected sometimes during the holiday season. So we have an excellent group of panelists today that we're going to talk about this topic with. First, I want to start with Shannon, our registered dietitian nutritionist. What are some things people can do to get on the right track eating well in the new year?
One of the most important things, I think, is to not get bogged down by the holidays. Maybe some people feel like they overdid it a little bit.
Sure.
Try to think of some feasible, reachable goals to set initially. Could be something as simple as adding in 2 servings of fruits and vegetables, tracking that for a day, or for a month. Try to get kind of some ideas for things you think you can sustain throughout the next year. It could be something like cutting out soda and replacing that with water instead. Things that are achievable is really what we're looking for.
Baby steps, in other words.
Exactly,
it sounds like.
right.
So you mentioned fruits and vegetables a little bit. Are there any other specific foods that you would recommend people try to maybe slowly or quickly incorporate into their diets?
Well, one thing I wanted to highlight today, I have some props.
All right. Are these edible props?
These are edible, actually. I have a lot of rubber food models, but these are a little bit more attractive. So I want to kind of focus on citrus fruits because they are in season right now and delicious. So I have some oranges sliced up. I have grapefruit, clementines, which are really nice to grab and go, throw in your lunch, easy to peel. And then a lemon, which you might not eat whole, but you could use in cooking. Use the zest for a little extra flavor, which is nice.
Lemon juice has a lot of good flavor, and there's some nutritional benefits of even putting a little bit of lemon juice in your food. So
absolutely.
That's great. Dr. Buss, director of the Sleep Center, what impact does sleep have on a person's overall health?
Well, sleep plays a vital role in the good health and well-being throughout a person's life. And the way you feel while you're awake often depends on how well you're sleeping.
So sleep has a very big impact in terms of how you're feeling throughout the day, and if you're not feeling too well throughout the day, maybe you're not sleeping that well. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Your body's working to support healthy brain function.
Sure.
Maintain your physical health in younger patients, children and teens. It helps to support growth and development as well.
When should someone seek care for sleep issues that they may be having?
I think if patients are having issues with issues such as snoring, falling asleep, staying asleep, gasping for air at night, if a bed partner notices, pauses in breathing, I think any of those are good reasons to either talk to your regular provider or a sleep doctor.
The pauses in breathing, that can be a scary thing, especially if you're the bed partner and you hear that and you kind of wonder, okay, when are they going to start breathing again? That can be scary for both people involved.
Oh, it can. We've had patients, bed partners time the pauses oftentimes while they're in bed.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Penny, I want to turn to you real quick here. You are kind of our diabetes educator. What determines the diagnosis of diabetes?
Well, generally, your physician or healthcare provider has been following your blood sugar levels for several years.
Sure.
And so at one point they may, if they're creeping up, so to speak, over 100, they may do a test called a hemoglobin A1C. This A1C determines where you are in the diabetic state, if so. Anything under 5.7%, you're not a diabetic. However, anything from 5.7 to 6.4, you're in the pre-diabetic state.
Sure.
Okay, and so you have to start thinking about things to do to correct that or stay in that state. Then as the numbers go up, 6.5%, you're definitely a diabetic. And then when you have hit between 6.5 and 6.9, you're in a controlled diabetes state, okay? So you're controlled, but you're still diabetic. And so now we have to watch what we eat and drink just to keep there. However, if you reach 7.0 or higher in the hemoglobin A1C, you may need to start some medication.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to find out more about that in just a moment here, but first we got to take a short break. We'll be right back with more Wisconsin Doctors. Don't go away. Welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We're here on location at Bluff Medical Center here in Mauston, and today we're talking about taking care of yourself in the new year. And next we're going to be talking a little bit about how diet can play a big role in that, and I'm joined now by registered dietitian nutritionist Shannon Moore. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us today. So what is the biggest misconception that people have about working with a registered dietitian nutritionist?
I have quite a few patients who come in to see me, and they might assume that I'm going to do a whole lifestyle change, kind of an overhaul, tell them all the things they can and can't have, make them eat kale chips every day for the rest of their lives. And that's really not the case. We try to customize kind of what we're recommending and work with the patient where they're at, see what they're willing to change, kind of see if we can set some reachable goals to make that positive lifestyle change and get them motivated to make those good changes.
Absolutely. So it's a little bit of baby steps. It's not drastic changes necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. What tips could you have for people purchasing foods on a budget during the holidays?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I mean, money can be tight for people, especially around this time. One thing I encourage people to do is really look for seasonal foods. Things like your citrus fruits are in season right now. They're going to be less expensive and a little bit fresher. Things like dried beans, peas, and lentils, often overlooked. They're actually very inexpensive. They make for a really good soup in the winter. Squashes, sweet potatoes, root vegetables right now are in season. So there's some good recipes out there, and we actually do post some recipes on the Mile Bluff Facebook website too if people are interested.
Very cool. Very cool that you have some recipes available.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
There are a lot of vitamin and mineral supplements available. Can you share with viewers what advice you have regarding these vitamins and supplements?
Yeah, they receive a lot of press and they're pretty popular. I get that question quite often from patients. Some people do really need vitamin and mineral supplements. People with certain medical conditions, maybe if you've had weight loss surgery, that's something that you're going to need to take for the rest of your life to make sure you're getting enough. For the majority of the people, though, we should be able to get all of the vitamins and minerals we need from whole foods, especially fruits and vegetables. If you're getting a fairly balanced diet, I would say spend your money on the whole foods versus the supplements. There are things that the foods can do that the supplements can't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shannon, is there any advice you can share with the viewers who are interested in shedding some of that holiday weight for the new year?
Yeah, that seems to be a big topic around now. I would say, and I really encourage people to track what you're eating, even if it's for a couple days, whether that be writing it down in a food log, also writing down, what's going through your head as you're eating. I mean, we all eat for different reasons. So it might be that there's a trigger, something that's kind of cueing you to eat when maybe you're not hungry. I also have a lot of patients who find computer online apps or smartphone apps helpful in tracking what they're eating. Can raise some awareness, look at some things that you're doing right and some areas for improvement.
Some great advice there. We just have a few seconds left here, but I want to talk a little bit about bread and bread products, because there's a lot of folks, there's a higher awareness of celiac disease now and that sort of thing, but there's a lot of folks who really like to try to go gluten-free even though they may not have celiac disease. So what's the scoop on bread and bread products?
Most people, if you don't have celiac disease, bread products are still okay, and they actually can offer quite a good serving of whole grains. It's more a matter of what you're buying at the store. So if you're at the store and you're looking for a whole wheat bread, for example, if you look at the label and the first ingredient is whole wheat, then that's kind of a signal that that's a true whole grain. If the first ingredient is enriched, unbleached wheat flour, then that's more of a white bread product. And also, if you can aim for 4 grams of fiber or more per serving, that's going to give you a nice serving of whole grains. We really want to encourage those for the fiber and for the nutrients that they provide too.
Excellent advice. Shannon Moore, registered dietitian nutritionist with Bluff Medical Center. Thanks so much for the info today.
Thank you.
We got to take a short break, but we'll be right back with more Wisconsin Doctors. Stick around. And welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We're here on location at Bluff Medical Center in Mauston, and we're talking today about taking good care of yourself in the new year. And next we'll be talking with our diabetes educator, Penny Wachowiak. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So glad to have you with us. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the myths and misconceptions about carbohydrates and diabetes?
Well, one of the biggest myths out there is once they find out they have diabetes that I can no longer have foods such as breads or potatoes or
starches of any kind. Anything that has carbohydrates is just off the table.
Is off the table, correct.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily true though. You have to control it, but you can't, you don't want to necessarily cut it out completely.
You don't want to cut it out completely. You want to have portion control of those things at each one of your meals.
Because we all need those to create energy in our bodies.
Correct,
Yes,
very much so.
Absolutely.
Penny, what tips do you have for managing diabetes?
Is one become an active member in their health care that they attend from the physicians. It'll require some lifestyle changes, but not big ones. It's just, if you never ate breakfast, you got to start eating breakfast.
Sure.
Okay? And be physically active, whatever that may be. It may be that you walk 100 feet twice a day, but at least be active. And take all prescribed medications that your provider gives you, and never stop any medications without consulting your healthcare provider. And ask questions. Go there with your, what I like to say, my laundry list. I have it all out, because doctors only have about 15, 20 minutes with you. So you'll want to be able to ask them, what about X, Y, Z, or A, B, C? Just so write yourself little notes to talk to the doctor about once you see them.
Yeah, rather than making an appointment for each one of those points.
Right, because you'll get out the door and darn, I forgot to ask them about this.
Yep.
So you know, we know that early interventions can help lower risk of long-term complications related to diabetes.
And I like how you say be an active member in the health care that's provided to you. So be a participant yourself. Don't just wait for it to come to you. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Penny, can you tell viewers about what medications are available for diabetes?
Sure. Well, the first one that we usually give a diabetic who is diagnosed in the early stages with lower A1Cs, hemoglobin A1Cs, is metformin. It's our #1 drug out there.
Metformin.
Metformin, yes.
Okay.
And that is a drug that does two things. It's very good for calming down the liver, okay?
Yeah.
Because we know that blood sugars can come also from our liver as well as from the foods we eat. So that's what that does. Second of all, we know it protects our heart really well, so why not take it? And it is our first line of defense for diabetes. Then we can get into other medications that can be a weekly drug to a daily drug, another add-on to help lower your A1Cs. And of course, then lastly, but and most important, sometimes people just need insulin because their pancreas just is not producing the amount as needed.
It may not be something that they're doing necessarily or not doing it just because their pancreas is not doing what it needs to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
And kind of going off of that, you know, what advice do you generally give for reducing the long-term complications that can come from diabetes?
One of the things is feeling is basically, I should say, to prevent the long-term complications is follow a meal plan, exercise, see your doctor on a regular basis, and have those blood tests drawn, and follow the medications that your provider has recommended for you.
Yeah, take it very seriously because that's diabetes is something that's easily manageable, but you have to manage it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So Penny Wachowiak, thank you so much for the information today. It was great talking with you.
Great, thank you.
Don't go away. We've got more Wisconsin doctors still to come. Stick around. And welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We're here on location at Bluff Medical Center in Mauston, and we've been talking about how to take care of yourself in the new year. And what better way of taking care of yourself than getting good sleep? And I'm joined now by Dr. Robert Buss, who is the Medical Director of the Sleep Center here at Bluff Medical Center. Dr. Buss, welcome.
Thank you.
What are the most common sleep disorders that you treat, and how do you diagnose them?
I'd say the two most common are insomnia and obstructive sleep apnea, roughly in that order. Insomnia, a lot of times we'll diagnose with a good history from the patient, completion of a sleep log, and a questionnaire in the clinic. And that can oftentimes be treated with a combination of modifying a bedtime routine and occasionally medications. Obstructive sleep apnea, that will oftentimes need to take patients to the sleep lab, I would say just about all the time.
Right.
And
that's one of those things where you really need to kind of observe how they're sleeping and kind of collect data on that. And that's why you need to bring them into the sleep lab to do that.
Yep, that would be right.
Yeah, right on.
So Dr. Buss, can you tell the viewers what happens in the sleep lab if someone actually has a sleep study?
Sure, yeah. We do our sleep studies at Terrace Heights. That's a retirement apartment building, very close to the hospital. A 2-bed sleep lab, full-size beds, flat-screen TVs, very much unlike a hospital in terms of the setup. I think patients find it a lot more comfortable than sleeping in a hospital bed.
Does anybody ever want to move in after a sleep study or anything like that? Sounds pretty good to me.
No, not exactly. Yeah, but it's a test that helps us determine how well you're sleeping and determines if there are sleep problems and if so, how severe they are. Electrodes are attached to the head and body around the eyes, and we monitor things like brain waves, eye movements, respiratory effort, oxygen levels. along with other parameters to determine exactly what's ailing a person who has sleep issues.
And those those are not uncomfortable. Those electrodes being on.
No,
you know, yeah.
no, a little sticky, but not painful at all.
Yeah, yeah, excellent.
And Dr. Buss, can you talk about some of the treatment options for sleep disorders?
Sure. Well, for insomnia, oftentimes we'll do something called sleep restriction, basically talking about a bedtime routine, trying to help people develop a routine that's more conducive to good sleep at night.
Okay.
Practicing good sleep hygiene. I hear that term a lot, is sleep hygiene. That's part of the whole deal, is getting to bed at the same time every night.
Yeah, that's part of it. Also avoiding things like caffeine or nicotine, both stimulants,
Sure.
close to bedtime.
Right, absolutely.
Yep.
Do you have any specific recommendations for how much sleep a person needs in a night?
The National Sleep Foundation recently did revised their recommended ranges for the amount of sleep that different age groups should have. Most adults, they recommend 7 to 9 hours a night. Teenagers, maybe a little bit more, 8 to 10. And as you get down to middle school and elementary school, even more, 9 to 11 per night. Yeah, without that sleep, a lot of times we'll see students and people out in the workforce being less productive at work and school, taking longer to finish tasks, slower reaction time, and making more mistakes. That sleep is really important.
That's very important. You often see that in schools too, where the kids who just, for whatever reason at home, don't get enough sleep, they often have poor academic performance as well. So yeah, it's very important. So do you have any final tips for someone who might be looking to improve their quality of sleep and quantity as well?
Well, I think to have better sleep, I think just following some simple yet effective healthy sleep tips is useful, including, like you said before, sticking to a sleep schedule, even on weekends. So roughly at the same time going to bed, as well as waking up in the morning. Practicing, I'd say within the last hour or two before bed, doing things that aren't overly stimulating so that it's easier to fall asleep. Making your bedroom comfortable in terms of temperature, sound, light. Make it so that when you see your bedroom, you're thinking, time for bed, time to get some sleep.
Yeah, not time to get on the iPad or time to get on the laptop and that sort of thing. So yes.
Yep. Yeah, electronics are a big issue.
Yep.
And
Dr. Buss, thank you so much for the info today. It was very great talking with you. We learned a lot. Dr. Buss is the the medical director of the Sleep Center here at Mile Bluff Medical Center. That's all the time we have for Wisconsin Doctors. I'd like to thank all of my guests. We're inviting you to live longer and live better in the new year right here on Wisconsin Doctors. We'll see you next time.